So
Mhm.
today, what we're going to cover is something called customer support agent, and that's going to be a RAG agent, which has a knowledge, the whole, let's say, content behind the scene. So far, whatever we saw in terms of agentic capability, agent has a brain, agent got some simple memory, which keeps the context ready, right? Or keeps that whole context in mind. Then there are a couple of tools through which the agent works. These can be any kind of tools. Let's say it can be Google Sheet, how we saw earlier, or it can be any CRM, it can be Gmail, it can be calendar or something like that, right? But what if I say I want to build a customer support agent, and that agent supposed to have knowledge of a 500 long pages, let's say any product manual or any guide or something like that, right? Imagine if I can load that whole 500-page PDF or something like that into my normal custom GPT, then it consumes so many tokens because it has to refer the whole data again and again. Can I make it more efficient? Or maybe if I have a larger data set which is keep on updating all the time, right? So can I do it in a better way where large data can be referred, not as a simple memory, not as a context memory, or not as a tool, but as a whole lot data storage where agent can go efficiently look into the database and then figure out, okay, what information has to be picked up with the least number of tokens. Because see, whenever working with all of these agentic capability or any of these automation workflow, cost is always a concern. So people come and say, okay, how much, as someone said earlier, right? How much it is going to run or take money for each of the run, right? So how much it's going to take for one customer query response, or whenever I'm going to type something on that chat box or maybe email or something, how much will it cost? So that costing part bothers as soon as you scale, as soon as you take the solution to the larger volumes. So that's what we are going to discuss. Obviously, one really good name that's called, or a really good technology in terms of database storage, that is called vectorization of your content, vectorization of your data, right? That's called vector stores. And that's what we are going to look into this today's session. So essentially, when you're building a customer support agent, what we can have three things. One is I'm taking Google Sheets as one of the basic stuff, which can help us to store all the, let's say, customer interaction tickets or maybe any sort of interactions which customer have. So can be converted in the form of a ticket or in the form of some sort of issue or let's say concern raised by a customer. Second is this agent is going to interact with a vector store that is called Pinecone. And Pinecone, obviously, it's not the only one. There are plenty of other things available, even Azure, AWS, all of them have their own vector stores. But Pinecone is one of the popular, one of the agentic friendly thing, and it is available inside Anytime as well. So that's why I chose Pinecone, available for free as such. It can help us to store any of our contents into a vector form, right? And then Gmail is for all the customer interactions. So for example, if I have any query about any particular product or some issues, I can always go email to that particular, let's say, customer support email, support at Growwstacks or support at Tesla or something like that. And then I'm supposed to get a response from this agent. So Gmail is going to be our communication method, right? So with these three basic things, the communication from the customer side, the whole Anytime agentic workflow part, which has Pinecone as a vector store, as a larger memory where agent is going to supposed to go and look into the right information with least amount of tokens. And then whatever interaction happen, whatever things happens in terms of ticket issue or any sort of concern, they are getting stored inside a Google, right? So this is what we are going to look into. Now, see, there are two parts of this whole agentic structure. First of all, we have to convert our larger documents, any sort of large database or some sort of larger information into a vector format, right? So that has to happen using the Pinecone vector store module itself. Then there is something called vectorization or embedding LLMs are there. And then that whole data gets loaded into vector, first thing. So this is going to be one of the automation workflow. And the second flow where we're going to connect this vector store to this AI agent. Obviously, the other flow remains quite generic as such. So we are watching emails. We are going to get in this text classifier, whether it's a customer support query, it's other email or something. And then as soon as it reaches to agent, agent is supposed to connect with the vector store and will try to grab the relevant information to answer that particular query, or agent will decide whether to raise, escalate, or close a certain ticket. And obviously, as it started from Gmail, is going to respond back to the customer using Gmail. So this is the whole agentic structure, what is in today's focus area, right? Now, before we move forward, let's try to grab maybe some sort of PDF or some sort of a large document, which I'm keep on referring. So let's try and have any user manual of something. Let me try if I have Tesla customer support. Okay, perfect. Guys, see here. I'll quickly share you my screen. So I got one of the PDF with me, and that is called Tesla customer or Tesla owner manual. So let's say whenever someone buys a Tesla car, they give you an owner manual which has approximately 500 plus pages on their manual, right? Everything is being covered. So right from how to turn on a car, or maybe wipers, headlight, all the technical specification, everything here and there. And if someone is facing any specific issue about any specific feature, they are not supposed to be addressed by any human as such, right? Either owner can look at this manual, or they can just connect with a chatbot. They can connect with some sort of a customer support agent, and that agent can directly look into this manual and then refer things back to the particular user. Even agent is not just about picking information and delivering it there, but agent can make the whole sense of this information and then accordingly create a proper reply. Okay, this is how you should use this feature. Or if you're facing some issues, here are the warranty things, here are the service centers, or XYZ different stuff, right? So owner doesn't have to go all along with each of these things one by one, or maybe look into this manual as such. Nobody does that. We generally call up the customer support team, and that customer support team address our queries, at least in today's market or in today's practice. So that's what this agent is going to do, right? Now, this is a full length manual. You can see here, it has about 302 pages in total. Now, when we are talking about vectorization of database, obviously all these content can be vectorized, right? Or content can be classified into multiple chunks, not the images as such. So anything which is part of the image may not go or will not go into vector, but all of these written content can be referred by the particular agent or particular vector store as such, right? So this is what we are going to take as a use case. This is a plenty good document, like having 300 pages, more than good to train a vector store. So when we talk about, let's say, vector, obviously the third part of this entire use cases, as I said, one is this manual part which I've shown you, the whole anatomy structure. Now, when we talk about vector, see, imagine if you have to store this 300 page information somewhere, how that will happen? First of all, obviously a file format. You can see here, this is all stored into a PDF file, or maybe a presentation, maybe a Google Sheet or something like that, which has all data combined together into one bucket, right? Second part can be a database. So where you may have, let's say, I'm going to create database, and here are all of these things. So let's say database has multiple component or multiple tables. Tables have their specific categorization, overview, opening, closing, storage areas, sitting, and so on. And then each of these content, whether it's exterior, interior, touch, screen, and so on, will be classified as individual lines or maybe some sort of a paragraph over there. Third part, or more AI friendly, more token friendly, more efficient way, is something called vector. Now, how vector works, or what do we mean by vector? Vector is essentially the whole information will be splitted into multiple chunks. So let's say out of these 300 pages, I may want to divide this into 1,000 parts, or let's say each thing go with one particular paragraph or into one particular segment. And that segment, whenever I'm going to query that vector store, or when I'm going to query that particular database, that particular search item, let's say someone says how to start headlight. Now, first I'll have to search whether this document mentions headlights or not, right? Second is, if yes, then which part of the document has headlight as reference? Then third thing can be, if I'm asking whether it's a headlight low beam, high beam, or headlight got, let's say, damaged, or it's not working, or how to turn it, turn off, and so on, these things can also define into multiple subcategories. So how much data I'm going to look into when I query? So in case of vector, since this data got divided into multiple chunks, multiple small, how would I say, multiple small records or small paragraphs, whenever we do vectorization, along with that small data storage, it also carry a mathematical ranking of the data based upon certain keywords. And second part is, it also carry all the keywords which are mentioned in that particular paragraph. So maybe I have a whole paragraph of 300 words, maybe half a page or full page document being stored into vector record as a full paragraph. Now, that may have 20 important keywords. So those keywords are going to be ranked or going to be listed into that particular vector record. And when I'm going to search, okay, I'm talking about headlight, then essentially the search will go on that particular keyword, and based upon those keywords, records will rank. They'll say, okay, now I have 1,000 record. Out of that, only 20 records mention about headlight. And even out of those 20, based upon my search query, how many matches to, or how to say, how many are most suitable, most matching towards my query. So maybe out of 20, only 5 records matches best to my query. So only those 5 will be provided back to the AI, and then AI is going to process it and it'll say, okay, now out of this 5 records, here is your answer. That limit the token consumption as such. So I'll go with Pinecone. By the way, Pinecone is available for free at very initial basic layers. You can see here. And there are plenty of other things. Supabase is there, Pinecone is there. As I said, Azure, AWS, Google themselves, everyone has their own vector store as such, right? So you can go with any one of them. Pinecone is pretty straightforward to set up. So I just went with Pinecone as such. Now, with Pinecone, you can go with the starter plan, which is available for free of cost. And you can have a couple of good indexes, name indexes over there, kind of folders I'll explain in a minute. But essentially, free plan can work with you in a very seamless manner. Now, if we go into Pinecone, I'll go with start for free. And let me show you one of the vector store that we have created inside there. Okay, not on plans, but I'll go on the Growwstacks, project Growwstacks. And it is no difference as such in terms of when you build these vector stores, you have like how we do Google Drive. So in the same way, there is something called database. And within databases, how you create multiple folders inside Google Drive, these folders within Pinecone or within vector stores called indexes. And each of these index may have a subfolder with a particular vector store. So over here, let's say we have something called POC, we have QTrack, we have testing, like a couple of things which we created earlier for different clients. If I go with testing, for example, within each of these indexes, there can be multiple records which are part of this whole database structure. So for example, by default is giving me 10 results. Over here, you see, whenever we do vectorization, it does all of these things stored along with the data. So here is the text part is here, which says subtract the count, whatever combined weight of the driver and passenger and so on, do this thing. So by default, it extracted some information from a particular page, from a particular database, from a particular source, picked up only this info, which can be used by some other AI or something else. But along with this information, it calculated or it defined these many different meta fields, these many different keywords. See here, if my query has any of the keywords which are mentioned over here, then this particular paragraph, this particular text can also be picked up for the whole vector analysis. And then based upon this, my AI agent is going to process that information and try to give the feasible answer. So essentially, whenever we do vectorization of any data comes here, but along with this much things goes alongside, right? So this is the vector format of each of these records. See here. So all of these things, whatever information was captured from any particular, let's say document, they all chunked into multiple things and along with their keywords, along with their other stuff. So first of all, see, setting up this Pinecone is important. And within Pinecone, once we go to databases, we can create multiple databases like how we create folders into our Google Drive. And then based upon that, we can create multiple namespaces. So these are subfolders. For example, let's say I can have within one single index, I can have multiple different namespace or subfolders, and within them, there can be multiple records created, right? So this is how the vector part works. But who's going to put these many information alongside each of our information or each of our record extracted from that particular file or that particular document? So obviously, we need a specific LLM, not just like GPT-5 or 4 or something like that. There are specific LLM models available, which are called embedding models, right? Which embed data into vector store and do perform all of these calculations for it, right? So this is the first part of it. Now, if I go to our N10, let's start with this basic flow. I would like to quickly showcase you something. Let's go with a new flow. And over here, I'll have to start first scenario where I'm going to put some sort of data into our vector store. Now, as I said, how the data is going to come from or where the data is going to come from. Obviously, data will come from any of these kind of documents. So we can take this example of Tesla Model 3 itself, whatever we had discussed so far. It's a 300-page document. In case you want something else, you can go with those other documents altogether, all fine. But currently, we are going to focus upon this. Now, this file will require to come into N10. What is the best medium? Either I can send it using a webhook kind of payload, or I can upload this into any normal Google Drive kind of a cloud storage, and that cloud storage can be connected, and I can extract that file from the cloud storage and use it inside my N10 workflow, right? So either of these things are going to work alongside. So what I'll do, I'll go with my Google Drive. I'll create a new folder, and here we are. Select my drive, new folder, and the new folder can be not Tesla, but let's say today's date is 26th October, customer support use case, right? It's over here. And then I can simply drag and drop this file into this one. Right, so essentially I got my first file loaded inside my Google Drive, and then I can use it inside Anytime. So first of all, let's take this file into Anytime. Google Drive, will go simply here, we'll say download a file. Now there are plenty of things. One is either you can have dynamic files, or these kind of folders can be fully dynamic, where you may have multiple files or these files that keep on updating. So we can have a watch trigger. Instead of just downloading a file for one time, I could say whenever a new file is coming in, I want to add that particular thing into my vector store or update the vector store. That's one approach. Second, in case if your use case gets changed, but essentially the whole point is either you can have this kind of single file uploaded over here, and this file can be read once, update into vector, and things are done. Or we can go next level and we'll say, okay, this is going to be a fully dynamic thing. So instead of selecting download a file, I may say watch all the changes happening in that particular folder and keep on updating vector store whenever some change are happening over there. So that's the whole idea of explaining everything. Now let's go here and let me try to figure out if that file or folder already exists. Okay, let's try. It's called Tesla Honor Manual. If I find it's good, else we'll go with, okay, see here, we got Tesla Honor Manual file 1, which we uploaded recently. Then obviously I'm not taking anything as a dynamic update to the data to the vector store. So I'll simply keep it download file, and it's going to be a static file. I'll say execute the step, and it is going to get us all the file data or the variables inside our Anytime system. Okay, perfect. See here, the file came as a data and it's into the binary format. If I go with JSON, obviously there is nothing else apart from the binary data which is coming in into this particular output, right? Now, once I'm done with this, I said like this workflow is going to execute whenever I wanted to run this, or whenever I click on execute, because obviously it's a static flow. I don't want to run it automatically at any given time. Now, once this is done, we'll have to go with something called Pinecone vector store. So I'll just search for Pinecone, and you see here, as soon as I do, there is a first item which comes in, which is called Pinecone vector store. Click on this and see here, multiple actions comes out. First of all, get rank document from vector store. This is to get some information from vector side. We can add document to vector, we can retrieve document, we can retrieve documents for AI agent as a tool. So it can directly work with the AI agent as a tool itself, the Pinecone structure. And we can also update vector store documents. If something is already there, I can go back, refer the particular name of that index, and then it can be updated as well. But for now, what I'll go with is something called add document to vector stores, right? Now, based upon this, I can first establish my connection. So to create connection is fairly straightforward. You just have to provide the API key, which we are going to get from our Pinecone. So let's have a look, API keys, and here we go with create a new key. So I'll go with, let's say, Anytime Tesla bot, create a key, and here the key comes in. So I'll say copy, go back over here, and we can simply update this whole key. I'll say admin October 26, and let's click save. Connection tested successfully. All good. So this looks good. Our Pinecone vector store is connected. Now it says, what do you want to do with this particular, when we say Pinecone vector store, insert document, what has to be done with this particular Pinecone module, right? So first of all, we have to define the index. If you remember, I shown you earlier over here, if you go to databases, we have indexes, and indexes is nothing but multiple folders or multiple sub databases inside this whole Pinecone vector store, right? So either I can create index from here itself. I'll go here and I'll say, let's do with this. I could keep it a name of Tesla support. I'll go with, let's say, Pinecone text embedding, or let's say any sort of configuration. I'll go with either which modules I want to use. So interface API, if I'm going to use any of these indexes and upload some files directly, which particular LLM I'm going to use. Else I can go with, let's say, small text embedding from OpenAI, which I'm anyways going to use from my Anytime module itself, right? Because I'm building everything over there. Now there's something called dimensions. Dimension is where I have to define how much my data has to be splitted into, right? So let's say if I want to break down it into 1,000 pieces, into 512 pieces, and so on. So dimensions are defined how much the vector store will be spread across. See, one important thing while you define this, it indicate how much unique data you have in each of these chunks. So when the whole thing is divided into multiple chunks, these 300-page document will break down into, let's say, 1,000 different pieces, 1,000 different records. How much each record is unique from others. So index 1 or the score 1.000 something means it's a completely unique record, or it's a completely unique string which does not exist or does not refer anywhere else. And as the score goes down, maybe let's say 0.5, 0.2, 0.1, that means they are more comparable, or they are more common strings all across the system or all across the vector store. So it was a mathematical ranking of uniqueness of each of these records which are created or embedded by the AI or classified into these multiple chunks. Perfect. So let's go to indexes, and now we can define one more index. Let's say I'll go with, for example, just a simple name, Tesla. Let's move on then. So essentially, this is our Tesla is just a name over here, and we created our first level of index inside Pinecone, right? Now, let's get back here. And here we connected our Google Drive. We downloaded the file over here. And now within the Pinecone, it is asking us to pick which index you want to put this information. So see here, earlier there were 3. Now it is the 4th one also came as Tesla, right? Now here we have to define how do we want to embed, or like how many times you want to embed this whole information. For example, if I say my whole document got 300 pages, right? And I want to split that into 1,000 different chunks, right? How many batches should go at a time? How many records should go at a time into Pinecone? Like, for example, try to understand this in a very layman term. Let's say you are inserting things into Google Sheet. You have to insert 1,000 lines. So do you want to batch it all together? Let's say put all 1,000 lines all together at once, or maybe do one by one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or maybe make a batch of 200 each and run it 5 times, right? So it says batching is, do you want to put it into batches? By default, it says like put 200 records into one batch as soon as they are processed by the LLM, and then run them through. So I'll say not 200, maybe let's go with 10 records per batch. So we can see that, okay, 10 records per batch means 1,000 will take about 100 batches to go into Pinecone. It is just inserting number of records, nothing more than that, right? So nothing to apply brain as such. Then we have something called Pinecone namespace. So within each of these indexes, we have options to define our, or obviously we have to define our namespaces. Namespace is nothing but a subfolder kind of a structure which can help us to identify data or their collectivity or their let's say correlation with a specific namespace, specific tags within this particular index. So one index can have multiple namespaces as such. I think we can create a namespace from here as well, not configured, over here, namespace. And by default, it's a default namespace. But if I try to use default, it's fine. Else I can also give it a namespace which says Pinecone namespace, and I can create it Tesla CS, for example, something like this. Right. So this namespace, again, nothing bigger. It's a subfolder kind of a name. Now, once I configured this, I had only these many options available over here, which I already configured like this. Now, apart from this, I have to attach 2 things over here. One is called the embedding, and second is called the document. Which document you're trying to refer? And second, what is your embedding model, or where is your brain which is going to process this document into a proper vectorized format. So if I go here, I'll click on this embedding part, the first one. It has multiple things available. As I said, embedding will also require you to use LLM, which can extract these data, as well as which can do all the tagging, do all the comparison of data, their uniqueness, and all the ranking, mathematical equations, everything, right? There are multiple embedding models available from different LLM companies. So LLM is like you would have not heard this about earlier, but LLM is not just about the generative AI as such, or all of these things which we do in out with GPT or with Claude or Gemini and all. They have a specific purpose model as well. And there is something called embedding models. So we'll go with OpenAI for now. I got credits over there and even the handy API key. But apart from this, you can go with, let's say, any of them. Hugging Face will also have Google as Vertex, Gemini, or all of these things are there. But I'll go with, let's say, OpenAI. And I think I have a connection also connected over here, which should work. OpenAI is this, right? Now, if you click on this, you'll find only 1 or 2 models. It's not true. You guys give me 1 second. Let me see. Perfect. Okay, this connection is working. So there are only limited models which are associated only with the embedding part. So essentially you have, let's say, if you're working with large amount of data, you can go with large LLMs or large, let's say, embedding models. You can go with small embedding models, or there's something called ADA002. Again, one of the models will go with small, which is by default a model available over there. Then it is asking us on a couple of options. Do you want to define dimensions, batch size, strip lines, and so on? Timeout. I don't want to go with any of them. I'll simply go with dimensions, which is nothing but 1024 that we defined into our index as well, right? So this is what we configured into our embedding model of OpenAI. Now, along with this, it is asking us the second part of document. Where is your document? Which document you want to process by this vector store and by this particular LLM or embedding model. So I'll click on here, and there is something called default data loader. So I'll go with this, and over here it asks us how do you want to connect your data? Is it any sort of a JSON payload, or is it a binary data? Is it a kind of any PDF or something you have? So I'll say my data is not in PDF, not in any JSON format. My data exists into a binary format. So I'll go with binary, because you all know, if you look at this, it says schema, table, JSON, and binary. So whenever we're working with files inside our n10 or make.com or something, those kind of, let's say, connectivity tools, always all of these file data comes into a binary format. And by default, the heading or title of this particular output or this binary data is called data over here, right? So I'll say my data is into a binary format. Then it is asking us, like, do you want to define any specific data, or you want to take all the inputs? So I'll say all the inputs, because I don't have anything else. For example, if I have a JSON which has contained a particular binary, then I would say only take binary part. But over here, since we downloaded this file from Google Drive, we have only the binary available in the input, and that's why I'm taking all input data should be good to go, right? Then over here, it says, do you want to detect the file type automatically? I think someone was asking what kind of files we can process over here. So it has CSV, it has docs, it has EPUB, like you have what it's called digital books, which we read in Kindle or something. So those kind of files can also be taken up. JSON is there, PDF is there, or normal text files. So I'll go with either it can detect automatically the meme type, or by default, my meme type is already over here, which is called application/PDF, or file extension is PDF. So I could go with either PDF, or let model automatically choose which file type is there. Then there's something called text splitting. See, this is important. Now, when you try to split the text from any of these given files, let's say this entire long document into multiple chunks, what will happen? There are two methods available to split this whole text. One is called a simple method, which says split every 1000 characters. That means out of 300 pages, imagine I would have 300,000 words, or maybe characters, for example. Each page contains 1000 character, my imagination, right? Then it says with a simple method is going to split all those content into a chunk of 1000 character with an overlap, possible overlap, like not exact overlap as such, with a possible overlap of 200 characters. This is the simplest method what they gave. Else we can go with a custom thing. So we can say, okay, do we want to overlap the text? Overlap will going to create more connectivity, or let's say more common grounds on both the side of text. Let's say when we split, so maybe 100 characters are coming from the top, 100 characters are coming from the bottom as well, right? So to maintain the consistency of the entire thing, or maybe more correlation between two records, it may ask you to overlap with a simple model. Else I'll go with a custom, where I say I want to go with a custom text splitter, right? And as soon as I do, it gave me an option to add a text splitter over here, right? So either go with a simple one or go with a custom one, right? So we'll go with a custom one. Now, as soon as we do, see here, it says text splitter. Now it's a one more configurable options available over here. Now, if I click on this, it gives me a couple of options to define how I wanted to split my text. See, the best way for any small document, not very technical stuff or as such, you can always go with a simple text splitter, which we already had over here. You don't have to apply much mind. But in case, if you're curious, in case if you want to go with more, how would I say, sanity check, more refinement, you can go with a custom splitter. And over here within custom splitter, we have multiple stuff. Something is called character text splitter, which split text into multiple characters. There's something called recursive text splitter, which split text into a recursive manner. It's a mathematical term as such. And then it says recommended for most of the use cases. And token based splitter, text into chunks by number of tokens, right? So you can define each chunk should not exceed more than 1,000 tokens or 2,000 tokens, right? So that kind of things can be done. Well, what we use most of the time, or even recommended by Anytime as such, is called recursive text splitter. And here it says, what's your chunk size? How many characters you wanted to put into one single chunk? So I'll say 1,000 is fine. I could have said like 500. I could have said maybe 2,000. All good. Do we want to overlap something? I said no. There is no overlapping required. Is zero as such, right? And then we can have a couple of more options. So I am not very sure what these split code are. We never evolved with them, but PHP, Java. So I think Python, if something works like that, if we have to use some markdown, we can have all of these kind of things also defined. I never used it. I'll not comment on anything, but if you have any questions, I can do some study and get back to you with these options of specific markdown languages. But we are good with this chunk and the overlap, which we can customize as per our own requirement. Okay, so let's try to run this and let's see what happens. So if I click on execute the workflow, it's supposed to get the file now into Pinecone. Recursive splitter is there. Okay, it loaded the data part. And okay, one thing always trouble me. So this may not give you a right view all the time. Okay, wait, you exceeded a current quota. Please check. Oh, let me do one thing. I'll have to generate a new API key. That's the solution. And, okay, 26 October. Let's click save. So it was a rate limit issue. It says check your billing, but I think I already have this billing fixed. 924. Okay, that's fine. Let's try this one more time. Okay, what I was telling you is that, see, essentially when you work with this kind of a thing, it has to iterate 100 times because we said the data embedding chunks or that whole batch size is going to be 10. So for 1,000 records, it has to supposed to run 100 times. So this may not represent that 100 runs over here. And we may have to stop this, go to execution to see whether it's completed or not. Sometimes that happens. The screen doesn't load. See here. Okay, now it's working. So it is updating as well. 17, 18, okay, 19. So it's going to run total 100. And if I refresh this part, it would have started taking all of these records over here within this namespace. See here, 280 records. And by the time this would have run 28 times, 33 times. Okay, still working. If I go to browse, text hello world, see here, all of this data started coming in like this with their currently the score, because not all the records are loaded. So there is possibility like many of them are having similar keywords, but that's fine. It doesn't make difference. But yeah, it may take a little while to process everything. Okay, so total 103, that means like 1,030. Obviously not 1,030. This would have only 1,024 records or 23 records over here. See, so this is how our vector store got updated into the Pinecone, right? And even that namespace would have been created over here. So this namespace directly came Tesla CS customer support document, right? And then I can do like plenty of things. I can remove this namespace, work with a specific these records and all. So it's all there. So this is part one where we embedded information into our vector store. Now, as I said, this can be fully dynamic as well. So you can always define, and even you can dynamically define this name altogether. So let's say this Pinecone namespace, it's a dynamic value. You can always do expressions over here and put anything which is coming in from any previous module. So a specific index or a specific namespace can be updated whenever any information is coming in, or whenever any changes are happening into any of the other systems. So for example, this download file could have been watch files into a Google Drive. Or for example, the project which we are doing now for one of the company, they wanted to have all of the, as I said, feature-based usage, all of the customer communication, all the Fireflies, those kind of meeting recordings, everything should go into the Pinecone vector store for each of these clients. And each client have a specific namespace for different kind of category of data and indexes at the client level. Now, what we do in that case, we'll say this particular index name or this index stuff itself is named by the client email address. So whenever their email address, let's say any new email is coming in, they joined a meeting, there's something else happened. Based upon this, the expression can be defined over here and only specific index is going to be updated, right? So those customizations or dynamic stuff can be done very well over here. Values can be mapped. So currently we did only a static stuff, but obviously it can go fully dynamic as well, right? Now, this is first part, what we did over here. Now, once this vector store is ready, we have to go with our whole AI agent built up where customers can send email using Gmail or maybe a chatbot or something like that. And then AI agent supposed to process information, create a support ticket, support request, or log that conversation somewhere and respond to that particular client or that particular customer, right? So in that case, first we'll have to build a small ticket or tracking system, which can be on a Google Sheet or which can be on any of these ticketing systems like Freshdesk is there, Zohodesk is there. So those kind of ticketing system, customer support system can be there, or Google Sheet is always a go-to way. So I'll create something here. I'll say that's the customer support system, something like this, right? And here I can define a couple of stuff. So from the base starting point, I'll say, first of all, whenever my customer is sending any ticket or let's say any communication, any query, I always want to give it a ticket number, which is the most commonly identifiable thing. This can be ticket ID or ticket number. Then I could have what is the date and time this ticket was got updated or raised. So I'll say date and time over here. Then furthermore, I'll say customer email ID, because we are interacting or we are asking it to go with the customer email addresses. We are having communication on the emails. Then I could have customer name if it is available, that's fine, or system can identify detect. Then I'll say issue type or category. I'll say issue details. Then it could have status, whether issue is resolved, pending, outstanding, or something like that, right? And then furthermore, I could have maybe escalation, who's handling this, whether a AI agent is handling this or human intervention is required. So handled by, for example, right? Now in these cases, I can define some drop downs over here, and I'm just building them quickly custom, like in a very custom way. But when you do, you'll always have to define this in a more precise way, right? So I'll say pending, I'll go with resolved. This could have on this, this could have on this. I think pending resolve is fine. And apart from this, handled by, here I can define who's going to handle this. This could happen by AI or by human. So AI is green, human is going to be this, and we defined it over here. And let's structure this whole thing into a proper format, convert to a table. Looks good. Right. Issue details, obviously there are going to be a couple of more fields, and it's all good. Issue type could have been again defined by the AI itself. So I'll give it a prompt that, okay, you define certain things. Now what I did actually is, I'm not going to redo the entire thing. I created a small prompt for the AI agent where I say, let me try to showcase you this. Let's go here. So this is the whole prompt I gave it to AI agent, which we are building on this whole NetL. We say you're a customer support agent with access to Pinecone vector store, Google Sheet as a tool, and the email processing where you can send emails or do things with the end client. Now there are a couple of rules which you have to define, because we said this particular customer support system will have a ticket number, right? So in case we raise any ticket to any of these companies, service providing companies or product companies, as soon as you write them a ticket or let's say any issues, they send you a response acknowledging your email with a ticket number, with an issue number, right? Maybe on the subject line or maybe on the body or somewhere. So if the customers next time interacting with you with the same issue, they say keep your ticket number on the subject line, or don't change the subject line, or keep the body as it is and reply on the same email thread. So they can always identify whether the person is talking for any existing issue or they are talking about any new issue or new concern at all. So in this case, we have to define our AI agent prompt in a way where we say always look out for the subject line and see whether there is a ticket number mentioned or not. If ticket number is mentioned, then simply pick that number and try to find out whether this ticket number already exists into our system or not, right? So otherwise, agent just keep on creating new ticket all the time whenever it has new conversation with any person, right? Check for keywords, always analyze or do search for existing tickets into your Google Sheet tool and so on. So these rules has to be defined. It's very, very important. Then again, it should not reply anything from its own generic knowledge, from its own brain. We should say always go and refer to this particular vector store or vector database, because if it is going to reply from a generic knowledge, it may be misleading because we already have a dedicated knowledge base. So see, these kind of things has to be defined and it has to be trained or tested multiple times before you make it live, right? So nitty-gritty basic steps, but what I'm trying to showcase you is the whole framework, whole ideation of how to build these systems. No automation workflows can be built like in just one go without testing. So always do proper testings and refine these rules. That's important. Then we say if the system finds a ticket or doesn't find a ticket, whether it has to create or update something which already exists and all, then whether the ticket ID exists, does not exist, or what kind of format is there, it has these kind of identification. For example, ticket number can be just a 5-digit, 10-digit, alphanumeric, numeric, and so on with a hashtag and all. So these are a structure, these are specific points we should define into our agentic prompt, and then only agent is going to work in a very seamless, very efficient way. Or this can also be broken down into multiple sub-agent as such. So one agent is going to find out a ticket, second agent is going to create a reply, third agent is going to do something else, and so on. So it can be more precise, not whole load on one particular agent, but multiple agent can do specific jobs if one agent is not working in a proficient or efficient manner. Okay, so these are multiple prompt things which we said. If something is open, ticket classification, open, AI is handling, open, humans handling. I think I have to change this into my system as well, handled by, and here I'll say human handling should go here if it is open, and open for AI handling, like who's handling this ticket, right? In the same way, if something is done or it is closed, okay, I think then I don't need this stuff as such. I'll simply say status, and this could have only three things, which says ticket is closed into green, human handled, or AI handled. These are three different categorization of the status itself. So whether ticket is open or closed, and who's handling this, AI is handling or human is handling. In case AI is not, AI will not be able to handle, then I'll simply say, okay, move it to a normal human, right? And so on. Then we have defined a couple of more things into the JSON because we may want to create a ticket, we may want to create a response accordingly. So whether previous ticket found or not found, yes or no, whether next steps are, what next step has to be done, solution of a particular problem which notified by a customer. So these are nitty-gritties. Again, ticket detail will have a couple of things. Ticket ID is there, ticket status, ticket subject, description, customer email if it is found, customer phone number if it is available, so provided or not provided, issue category. If LLM or AI can categorize it, that's good. If you want any support actions, they can be picked up. So these are part of the prompt which I created earlier. I did not included all the fields over here, which we can do, but let's skip it for now. There are plenty of information. And ticket conversation summary. So whatever conversation happened so far with any particular client or customer into a particular issue. Then along with this, when we ask LLM to provide or AI agent to provide all of the information, along with this, we'll say, can you help us to write an email as well? So email is having a subject line as well as the entire body content. And in case if you wanted to notify our internal support team using maybe a Slack message, a WhatsApp or Telegram message, then we can have a short summary of the entire ticket. And obviously it's being handled by AI. They don't have to do anything, but they can get notified about what's happening on the customer support side. So these kind of Slack or Telegram message can also be extracted. So essentially, this is the whole prompt for the AI agent, right? Now, I think if you remember, last time I shown you, I'm not sure if I did or not, but these promptings can be done very well or in more efficient way into a proper XML structure, right? So I could have gone and said, okay, write maybe to GPT Cloud or something. Can you write me this whole thing into a well-structured XML prompt? And then XML can be inserted into the whole system, into the agent. It can work way more better as compared to these kind of normal plain English prompts. But yeah, essentially you got the basic idea. Here are a couple of examples and everything. So now if I go back, I have the AI agent prompt also available over here, and I got my basic setup for this whole customer support system, right? Now I can go back here and I'll say, I want to start a new automation workflow. And this workflow is supposed to start from Gmail. So I'll go here, Gmail. Over here, we got a couple of triggers from Gmail. It's called on message received. So whenever someone is going to send us an email, we wanted to trigger an automation workflow. Okay, anyways, so yeah, my connection is done. And here we got the first email. That looks good. So my connection is working pretty fine at this first stage. Now, at the second part, I would want to decide, see my this email, for example, currently it is my personal Gmail, but even though you dedicate one email for your support or something like that, you may still want to see whether an email related to support inquiry or support query, which is supposed to be sent to this AI agent, or it is going to be only for the purpose of some sort of a communication, thank you, or maybe someone is replying something. So in those cases, you don't want to create a support ticket as such, or you don't want to even engage that particular agent to handle that conversation, right? So for that purpose, Aniten got a couple of good things, which now Make also getting in. There is something called AI tools or these kind of AI basic stuff, right? Now, among them, there is something called text classifier. So see at the top, AI agent, we always talk about, but within this AI nodes, there are plenty of other things also available. These are LLMs. Then there is something called basic LLM chain, information extractor, question and answer chain, sentiment analysis, summarization chain, all of them. And they all are designed for a specific use case, which is mentioned over here. We can associate our LLM brain to it, and then directly without deploying any AI module, any LLM, I can go with a text classifier, evaluation things, or summarization chain or something like this, right? So here I'll go with something called text classifier. Now, what text classifier is going to do? I'll say based upon this email content. Okay, let me do one thing. Sorry, guys, 1 second. What I have here is, I think I enabled a simple extraction instead of, okay, whole snippet. I don't want to simplify. If you toggle this off simplify, you'll get all the raw content of the email. Let's try to fetch it one more time. I want to see, okay, perfect. See here, all the headers, everything comes out, and even HTML or text body of this. Let's go here. Now, what I wanted to do, I'll say this text classifier should define first whether any incoming email based upon the subject line, based upon their body content, is related to a support ticket or a support conversation, or it is an ordinary normal email, right? And obviously this can be enabled or this can be powered by another brain, which can be any normal LLM. So I'll go here and I'll say, based upon the input I'm providing, you help me to classify text into two parts. And along with this, I already prepared some instructions over here. I'll simply copy this and I'll try to showcase you. So I said, we are a car manufacturing company. We are called Tesla, and we sell a wide range of different cars and all those things. Your job is to handle all the incoming emails and classify them into whether they are support things or not. Whatever related to customer support I mentioned over here, these are 10 different categories, which I will consider as a customer support thing, right? Everything else will go as all other emails not related to customer support. This can be, or this could have been like obviously different for your use case or whatever you're doing. But essentially, this is how you should classify text. So your LLM, your main AI agent will have lesser load as compared to processing everything all the time. So now I'll go here and I'll say text should go over here and my subject line should go over here, this one, right? Done. So these two values are being mapped, and this is how your entire input looks like. So whenever you, obviously, the beautiful thing with Aniten is whenever you map any values, you can see their previews as well. This is how it's supposed to look like. And then I said there are two categories to define. One is called customer support. Second is called all other emails, right? Now, along with this, whenever I'm going to run this thing, I am going to get both these categories in the output. So first I'll have to run this and then we'll see how it look like. In case of categorization part, I can obviously add the same information, whatever I said, the customer support and these other categories, I can obviously add those specific category, define their description as well. So here I'll say customer support, and the second category will be all other emails, right? Description could have been provided, or I already have this text to classify what and how it is supposed to run. I can leave it blank. Let's see how it goes, right? Now it requires a brain for this specific task. So I'll say, okay, let's associate a brain. Obviously, we created OpenAI connection recently, so I'll rely with OpenAI. But you can always have any other LLM can be connected. Now, in this case, we don't need any larger model, so I'll go with 4.1 mini is more than good, and we are good to go. So let's try to run it one time right from here itself, and let's see if it can classify one of the emails. See here, it classified, and this is the node which is getting into the green mode, right? So what it says, it got an other email which is not related to customer support. And what it does says category promotion. Someone sent me some email, maybe something about networking ecell.net or subject IIT Bombay. Okay, this is fine. Let's try to run it one more time. Obviously, it did not have any support email as such, but I may have to send some sort of a content and then we'll try to figure it out. But essentially, you got it, right? So this simple AI-based module can help us to put the categorization or classification of text before it hits the main AI agent, right? Now, once we are clear that something which is coming in related to our customer support, will move it, and the customer support will take care things from here, right? This will go into the AI agent. Now, this AI agent is supposed to get a couple of things. Obviously, the subject line, the whole body content, as well as some sort of context, whether do we have to provide it maybe reference of email address of the customer or maybe some ticket number or something like that. Those things has to be configured. Plus, along with this, we also have to configure all the tools over here. So first of all, I'll go here and I'll say, I wanted to go with my own defined input, right? What are the inputs going to be? Obviously, input can be, first of all, the subject line. So here are the inputs from customer. Since I already classified it's a customer support thing or customer support stuff from the text classifier, now I know it's a customer support thing. I'll say subject line goes here, execute the previous node. Let's see, data comes in. Perfect. It's coming in here. I'll take it down. Subject goes right here itself. And I hope you know, like if it is a valid email, then only it will pass through this. Otherwise, you will see this is gray out. So currently, no emails are coming to this particular route. Everything is going into the other route. Then I'll say email content, and the whole email content can be passed over here. Currently, this email doesn't have any content. It was only about the image. So that's why. Otherwise, if you're in doubt, you can always configure this part which is coming in as an HTML. So I'll go with this HTML mapping, which can give us more and more broader view of the content. But essentially, that's it, right? Apart from this, if you remember last time I mentioned, we should always define the date and time of today. So the AI agent will know, okay, this is the date time what we are referring to. So obviously, I'll have to give it today's date and time. It can be written anyways, right? Date and time, or now is something like this. And I could have just said this way a variable which is available already inside anything. So this is the part of a structure, right? Now, along with this, I could have also provided maybe customer name or customer email if I'm collecting it from somewhere. But since it's a normal email address or normal subject line, I don't have such information. But here I can say sender email ID. This can be obviously a thing which I can get it. So to from address goes over here. Done. So all of these information I collected. Now, along with this, I have to provide a full length system prompt, which we already configured over here. If you remember, I shown you this last time, which define how the agent is supposed to work, all the protocol, all of these steps, what all it should remember, and so on. So I'll go back to this. I'll say, here is my entire system prompt, which runs through like this. If I go here, expressions, mapping, this whole prompt goes like this, right? Now, once this is done, within this entire prompt, I also defined how I want output look like. So output supposed to be into a proper JSON structure. Let me see. See here, the JSON response format supposed to be like this. So here is the JSON structure. I can copy this and I'll say, I want output into a well-structured JSON format. So it says required a specific output format. I said yes. And as soon as I do, there is something called output parser at the bottom right. See here, this one. So I'll go out and I'll say, first let's configure output parser, which is nothing but a structured output parser. And then I could define the whole JSON structure, how I wanted this to be, right? So here, and let me see if this is broken down. Okay, status, I could give it only one status. Yes, no, this is also fine. It's all about structuring part. Okay, that's good. And I could even say autofix format. So if in case somewhere, if it is not having the right output format, in that case, it can use some sort of LLM model or brain to fix it or automatically fix the whole JSON output. But essentially, I don't want it, so I can simply remove or toggle it off. So first of all, we defined our output structure over here. Now, along with this, we should also go and define other stuff into the entire AI agent. So first of all, chat model. Chat model obviously can be any one of them. It can be Anthropic, Azure, AWS, and so on. Currently, we have API key available for OpenAI. I'll go with this, and I can simply connect 26 October, this one. Now, based upon the complexity of the case, we can always go and choose which model, let's say 4.1 mini or maybe O4 or those kind of more intellectual, more logical models. You can always go with them. But currently, 4.1 is, I think, more than good as a 4.1 mini model. Essentially, we defined our output parser. Now, all the output is coming in from this particular AI agent will be into a well-structured mappable content right from AI output itself. Now, once this is done, we'll have to attach a couple of tools. Now, tools means obviously a few things. First of all, tools will have this Google Sheet connected, right? So we wanted to read whether there is a ticket number already exists, does not exist. And then if it does not exist, we are going to create a new ticket, or we'll read this ticket and maybe update the same ticket over there as well. So in this case, we'll go with tools, and I'll say Google Sheets. Here, Obviously, it can be any other normal fresh desk or something like that you want to create. Those kind of tools can be associated, but essentially we are going to use some of them. Now in this case also, again, I'll have to add a new connection. Same thing has, I think I have those in credentials. Friendly with me. Oh, one second. Those are admin connection. Guys, give me one second. See, let's see if it is working. Perfect, it's working. So what I have over here is something called Tesla Customer Support System. And here is my Tesla Customer Support System sheet connected over here. Now, two things I'll do. One is obviously we want to read data to match or to check if any of the ticket already exists or not. And second is if something does not exist or something has to be updated, we are going to append or update the existing lines. So in this case, first I'll go with all of these get raw. I already selected this particular sheet, and over here I have only one single subsheet over there that's called sheet 1. So I'll go with this. Now here I can add a couple of filters, or I'll say you can simply go and try to check out for all of these ticket numbers which are already there in column A. Right. So either ways, I'll either put a filter, only look for a specific column, or look for all of them. Right. So depend upon your specific requirement, we can always go with this. I'll leave it open so AI agent can run through its own query. It can get all the data and run through all of the data and try to figure out the right match. Now, along with this, I'll add another Google Sheet thing, says Google Sheets. And over here, I'll have to add a connection, Growwstacks admin. Now, in this case, I'll say append or update a raw. Now, why append update? As I said, update means it's going to check out whether any ticket number already exists or not. And in case of append, it's going to update all the values or insert a new value into the system itself. So I'll go here, all fine. This is not get, but it's going to append or update. File supposed to be Tesla Customer Support System. Sheet, only one sheet is available. Now, what is the mapping column? So mapping is going to be ticket number, which is obviously getting in by the AI agent from the email subject line. Then we have ticket number using the match. So I'll say let AI define what ticket number it gets from the subject line. If it gets or not get is all fine. Then date and time, AI agent can define date time as well. Customer email address, if it is available, we already mapped it as an input, so it can take it from there. Customer name, AI agent can define issue type, issue details, and the status. Everything will be taken care by the AI agent within this particular sheet. I could have added more and more things like ticket summary or other outputs I shown you earlier. Those can be taken up directly over here. So this is the first part of it. Now we created this Pinecone and we haven't used it until this point. So now we have to give it the access to Pinecone vector store as well, where it can go and check out all those information, and that information will be used to answer or to describe whether it's issue related to something which AI agent can answer or has to be escalated to the humans. So in this case, obviously one more tool is going to come. And in this case, again, a good tool defined by Anita itself that is called question and answer. It's called vector store question answer tool, right? So this is like, I would say, obviously designed for various use cases. As I said, we are doing a project where account executive wanted to see whether account is in risk or not risk. They want to chat with the customer data and so on. Same way over here, in this case, any customer wanted to chat or to interact with the knowledge base, which is available inside a company. So it's a predefined tool available right from Anita itself. Vector store question answer tool. Now here I can define how this tool is supposed to work. It can be fairly straightforward, one single short of a description that you are a customer support agent, or let's say we are connected a customer support agent where customer is asking query and your job is to get these questions answered with the most accuracy and with the most precise and the right possible answers, right? So I can simply take it, let's say from here, I just copied pasted this entire string for this. Now, limit of total number of answers, we mentioned total 4. Right? So what 4 possible answers it can get or 4 possible choices it can get. Now, this could have been 1, 2, it can be 10, it can be 40, it can be 100 as well. And what this part is doing, it is actually trying to get information, best possible information from vector databases, right? But this vector will, or whatever information is being pulled, will be given back to this AI agent. And ultimately, AI agent is supposed to take a final decision on it. Right? So this vector store is only working like a tool. It is not taking its own decision. It's just collecting that right information with least amount of possible tokens, right? There's the use of this question answer tool. And here we define like we are looking for 4 limit of total number of answers which can be extracted from this particular vector store, 4 number of records which can be most relevant records which can be extracted from the vector store. So that's the whole idea of this vector store connectivity. Now, along with this, it has two things. Now, this is a normal AI node, or let's say this kind of vector node, which is designed for a specific purpose, but it also requires two things. If you see, there's something called vector store, and a model has to be connected with this. So first of all, let's connect the vector store part. And here we'll say Pinecone vector store is going to be connected with this particular node. Let's go here, admin 26. Let's go to this. Tesla is our index. So we are simply doing this. See here, operation mode by default, it says retrieve document as vector store for a chain or tool, right? And then we said Pinecone is the, index is the Tesla. Over here, we can define multiple more options along with this. So I could define, let's say, which particular namespace you want to looking for. So I can, or maybe meta tag filters or something like that. So I'll say, okay, for namespace, my vector store has one namespace that is called Tesla CS. So I'm looking to get information only from this particular namespace, right? This is done. So I want to extract information only from this particular index and only from this particular namespace. Then on top of it, this Pinecone vector store module, which is getting information from the entire vector store, this also requires embedding model. Why? Because this particular LLM, which is associated with this vector store, supposed to read all the meta tags, supposed to read that mathematical ranking, which is given by the particular the first level embedding model when we were inserting whole data. So it's supposed to read that particular mappings, all the keywords, all the rankings, and then decide which are the specific choices we should pick it from the whole vector store. So over here, again, we can go and do this OpenAI embedding, which is nothing but a normal small text module can be picked up. So here I'm going to define small is fine, and that's it. Now, along with this, once all of the choices are being pulled or let's say picked up from this embedding model, which define the ranking and everything, data goes here. And then this module has to define which top 4 choices I'm looking for. So in this case also, this module will also require one of the OpenAI chat embedding. And here we can say 26th of October is good. And I'll simply go with 4.1 mini is more than fine, like this, right? So now this normal AI model, which is question and answer, is going to work with this vector store. Vector store obviously will need data to run, or let's say to identify the keywords and everything, embedding model associated, and what to filter out, what to recommend back to this AI agent will be taken up by this particular AI brain, which is OpenAI LLM. Again, 4.1 mini based upon database passed from here is going to decide and will give all the output back to this AI agent. Perfect. So things are here like this. Now let's try and run this one time where I wanted to send an email, and let's see whether this particular email will be read by this AI agent and whether it's going to be processed or not. So let's go. I'll open my Gmail and I'll be sending an email right from. Give me 1 second. Let's try this. Okay, perfect. So here, and I could say I want to send an email from, let's say, Manish Mandot, Manish at Growwstacks.com. The other email is this one at gmail.com. Here I'll say my car broke down on, or maybe battery related issue with my Tesla Model Y. Let's say, hey team, I purchased it last month and now I'm finding that the battery start in 200 kilowatt. Please help me sort this. Thanks, Manish. And I could put some phone number also here, 1333955 and so on, right? So this is a basic email which I'm sending. I purchased it last month. Now I'm finding that battery start discharging in less than 200-kilometer drive. Please help me sort this out ASAP and so on. If I send this email, it's gone. It would have, should come here very soon. Done. This email came over here. And if I go back to my anytime scenario, it should run anytime soon, or I may have to fetch a test event. Either ways, it's fine. Let's try to fetch a test. Okay, this is the email. Looks good. Let's try run this. See here. This time it identified that it's a customer support email, right? Over here. Then something wrong happened over here. Pinecone vector store. What is not working? Vector dimension index is this much, does not match with this. Let me add embeddings. and we're supposed to have 1024. We'll have to run it one more time. By the time what happened? Wow. Without looking into vector, it simply created a support ticket right here itself. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Let me open human handling. Ticket noted for human handling due to unresolved issue. Okay, I'll just remove this part. Let's go back and try to run it one more time because we haven't defined. By default, it has a value of 1500 and whatever 26 36 dimension does not match with the index of 1024. So I changed the index or dimensions over here to 1024. Let's try to run it one more time so it can go with the vector stuff. Okay, now see, once the AI agent part is done, I'll have to respond to this email. So let's click on here. Let's say Gmail, but there are two cases. One is, did we find any existing support ticket number in the incoming email? If yes, then I'll say simply reply to the same subject line and the same email which came. Or if it is a new ticket where it says previous ticket not found, in that case, I'll have to create a new subject line along with the ticket number, whatever is generated by this particular system. And then I'll say, there is a new subject line. Please do not delete this ticket number and so on. Always reply to the same conversation and so on, right? So here I'll have to put a if-else statement where I say data flow has to be controlled with an if-else, or it can be switch as well. So I can go with either switch or if else, both of them. I'll go with switch, for example. So I can define these specific nodes. And here I say, if my support previous ticket reference is equal to no, then I'll say send a new email, or maybe structure a new email. Or if it is yes is equal to yes, then I'll say reply existing email, right? And then obviously I can make it case insensitive. So ignore cases. That means yes or no, whether they come in small, large, it will not make any difference. Now, since I have two routes, send a new email or reply existing, I'll attach one node over here and I'll say Gmail is going to send a message, right? In this case, let me, where is my 26 October? Okay, here it is. Send email. To whom to send? Obviously, I want to send email to someone who sent me email from the first level. Currently, there is nothing flowing through this. Okay. Let's do one thing. For now, what I'll do, fairly simple. Okay. I will just have to run this. Classifier is fine. See, sometimes you may not find, unless until you run this entire route, data is not flowing until this point because there is a condition, right? So since this condition doesn't satisfy, as well as it is not moving from the previous nodes. So either I can go here and I'll say execute previous node by putting some information here. Let's say test at gmail.com or something like this, some dummy values. So I can at least run this and the previous nodes can work. Else, I can go to the previous nodes and try to copy that particular string, which indicate json.email. Maybe from address or something like this, right? So in those cases, copy paste the values here, and whenever they run next time, it's automatically going to capture the same valid attributes from the Gmail module. But see here, we said run the previous node. That's why it run all of them. So if I go here, I'll say from email is this. I don't want this kind of a structure. I'll go down. And over here, from email address is this. So I'll simply remove this thing, click on expression, and address can be mapped like this, right? Now, in this case, subject line, here I'll say ticket hash or ticket number. Anything can be put in. And the ticket number is being generated by the AI. So I'll go here, AI agent, and we'll map this ticket ID like this, right? So first of all, I got my ticket number, and then I'll say the same subject line which is being sent by the particular person. I'll not change their subject line as such. I'll simply add the ticket ID or ticket number at the start. So subject line goes over here. So now that person will recognize that they created a new ticket for me with my own subject line, but ticket number being added over here. Then over here, I'll say email type is obviously HTML or text. I'll say HTML is good because it can be formatted well. And along with this, the message supposed to go like this, where it should have body of this email connected to this, right? So now with these basic configuration, we are good to send a reply message to the person, or maybe creating a new email with a dynamic ticket ID. On the other side, if existing ticket is found, then I'll go with Gmail and I'll say reply to a message instead of send a message. So I'll go with reply message, and over here, Let me choose the right account. This one, message ID. Obviously, we have message ID coming in from Gmail trigger. So here we have to scroll down. There's something called Gmail message ID. I think this one, or let me see. Okay, see, this may be confusing sometimes. So there are two message IDs coming in. Obviously, they are same only in this case, but you see here, this is message ID mentioned over here, as well as somewhere at the top, there is something called message ID over here itself. So we are not going with this message ID colon and this value because this may not work like a single string. So I'll go down and I'll simply pick this message ID. So while you're mapping things, please be very careful. You should look at the values which are coming in here. This is the pure message ID versus the above one just at the top of this. Another message ID has the text message ID and there is a colon and then this whole value is coming in. This will not work because this message ID colon is an extra value which will not be recognized with this particular field, right? So please be aware about this. And then message can be directly simply picked it from here itself. And that's it. Let's click save. And finally, in case if you wanted to add one more node over here itself to notify team via Slack, that can also be done, right? So now let's redo this entire exercise one more time. I'll go back, I'll remove it from here, and let's try to run with this current existing Gmail trigger. Whatever node I connected and this particular pinned information. See, it went to this, looked into this vector store, ticket would have been created. Perfect. Seeking help to resolve the things. Okay, this is fine. And a new message being sent. See here, message sent instead of a reply. Now let's take a look at my inbox. What's being replied by this agent? See here, I sent a message saying battery related issue with my new Tesla Model Y and so on, right? Something like this. Versus it sent me reply over here and here it says, Dear Manish, thank you for contacting regarding Tesla Model Y battery issues and so on. We recommend you running this Tesla battery health test, outline the vehicle manual, Tesla app, this will identify issues and so on. So problem persists, get in touch with the customer support and something like this. Now I'll go back and say, hey, I'm facing this issue and already visited the app and customer service executive, but nothing is working out. Either help me a dedicated engineer visit or something like this, or take the car back and refund money. Something like this, maybe a aggressive customer. Thanks, finish. Sent it. It is saved. Let's see, execution should happen. Now I'm not going to work with any of these pinned data as such. It was the first time. Now it's supposed to run automatically itself every minute. So last time it worked about 2 minutes ago. And next we'll see, I think in the same hierarchy, we should see the message reply like this. Okay, see here, it's running automatically itself. And it's supposed to pick up this ticket. Okay, see here, the status also got changed automatically. It says battery, customer has battery issues, rapid battery drain, request visit engineer or refund as per email on 26 October, open for human handling. Earlier it was AI handling, and this is still working. So maybe it's working to format this email draft or something. Wow, error encountered. Nice. Error with this email module. Bad request, please check parameters. Okay. I think I would have mapped the wrong message ID altogether. Maybe this is the ID or it's a thread ID. Either one should work. See here, there's something called debug in editor. So I can click on this and the whole thing can come over here as it is, whatever triggered or whatever happened in the entire sequence. Now, instead of this message ID, you guys are right. Let's try and put thread ID to this and let's execute the step. Let's see what happens. Okay, perfect. It's sent. So small nitty-gritties things here and there, but yeah, essentially it works. Okay, the email came and what they replied. We understand concern. Sorry for about this. Given the nature of your request, dedicated engineer visit or refund, we escalated your ticket to a specialized engineering team for immediate assistance. One of the engineer will be touch base shortly to inspect your vehicle battery and so on. We appreciate your assistance. So see, now I could go furthermore and they say, can you help me understand the headlight features and how can I operate them in on highways? Maybe some weird ways. Let's send it again. Now, see, this will fail, right? A spoiler is this will not work as expected. Why? Because I added another issue or maybe another kind of a conversation within this ongoing thing, right? Not ideal. So in this case, what will happen? The ticket nature may change because next time the AI is going to look at this entire email sequence and say, okay, now earlier this guy was looking for battery thing. Now he's looking for a headlight thing. And it can reply from the manual that how to operate this headlight on the highways or maybe night and so on. But it may lose context of this. So our AI should be prompted, this agent should be prompted if the conversation changes, things goes here and there. In that case, you're supposed to run it, how would I say, with a new ticket altogether, or maybe with a new conversation to be handled or tagged. Something is already escalated, multiple tag has to be managed, like ongoing issues escalated, and then other ongoing inquiries are being addressed one by one by the system. So see here, it came to this. Now it's working. But see here, now this got changed. So it says customer inquired about headlight feature and operation on highways for Tesla after battery issue ticket. The same ticket is found from the same customer, hence it is keep on taking. But now it says open AI is handling this. Perfect, it worked. And let's see here. On the same thread, the entire conversation keep on going over here itself. You can see within the same thread, things are happening. Thank you for reaching out. Key features. So let's take a look. Headlight on highways. The Model Y is equipped with the adaptive headlight that automatically adjusts their beam pattern to improve visibility and reduce glare from the for the other vehicles drivers. Key features: automatic adjustment of curves, oncoming traffic, beam, whatever these things are there, right? And we recommend trying using these features. For assistance, additional questions, let us know. So this is there. Now, as Sandeep said, can we have some sort of a human in loop? Human in loop means like before these things are going out, can a human review it and say, okay, send it, right? So in those cases, we can either add something over here, again, depend upon your solution architecture. You can either, let's say, send a first message or over here itself just after the AI input. I can click on this and I'll say there's something called human in loop, right? So this human in loop, what will do? It says wait for approval or human before continuing the further steps of this automation workflow. So if I go here, it says, where do you want to send any message for approval? And then where the person should respond and so on. So mostly you can see here, all the instant chat apps are available, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, or something like this. Even we have Gmail or we have Microsoft Teams or send email kind of node. For example, if I'll go with Slack straight up, here I say connect Slack. Okay, this will be a trouble. Let me try, not Slack, something else. Human in the loop. Maybe Gmail is fine. That will save our life. It will make things easy. So what I'll say, from here itself, from my customer support email, I'm going to send an email to something called admin@Growwstacks, and I'll say review the reply and approve, something like this. Message could have been anything, and then response type, it can be approve, it can be free text. So there can be a kind of buttons inside your email itself, like true, false, approve, disapprove, and so on. Or the other person can reply saying approval rejected or something like this via form submission or something like this. I'll say approval is fine. Approval options, I can add two options over here, approve and disapprove. So see here, button labels can be customized. It can be approved. The style, primary, secondary, these are fine, declined, and maybe disapprove or something like this, right? I'll say, please take a look at the AI generated reply to the customer and take action, right? Over here, I could put some BR tags. I think it support inline. Okay, fine. Okay, that's okay. I'll put some sort of a dashes just to differentiate things. And over here, we can add the body over here, right? Whatever being sent to this particular client. Now, if I execute this particular step, let's see it. Waiting. Okay, fine. I think I'll have to run it from the stretch from the start point. And this is having a wait sign. So it's going to wait unless until the person takes the particular action or approval rejected and all. Now let me try this one more time. Okay, by the way, see here, the test also executed successfully. And this was a little unformatted structure. Please take a look at the agent reply. It says, dear Manish, thank you for contacting Tesla Y model and so on. Troubleshooting this. And I got two buttons, decline or approve. I'll say approve. It is nothing but a webhook. So see here, it's a webhook thing. Got it, thanks. Page can be closed now. And then the system will keep on running the remaining steps. So it was a test kind of a use case, and hence it would have worked 4 milliseconds. Another email is being sent or will be sent after this point. It will be a same email because we had the same content. Oh, okay, let me see. Did I get another one? No, not yet. We'll have to run it, I think, the full use case end to end. But essentially, you got the idea, right? So if I have this step over here waiting for approval, it can be on any messaging app, anywhere where the human can interact, and then things can be run through after this particular point in time. So I think it's a good use case which you can replicate or you can have in a good sense. Let's try one more thing. Maybe let's send this email to via this. I'll say Manish _08 and I'll say my car broke down and what's needed urgent roadside assistance. Right. 18. I was driving with full battery charge, but suddenly it stopped and I'm in woods near New York. Please help with a towing vehicle. Thanks, Manish. Let's send this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now, maybe in a couple of seconds, this should trigger automatically. See, sometimes you may face this problem, this slight small problem. So earlier, this output structure was being written like this. JSON.output, previous ticket reference found, and now it's a red because the AI structure got changed. It says AI agent.item.json output previous ticket. So this particular parameter value or that particular reference got changed, and because of that, it is holding back on this particular filter level. Okay. Okay, let's try one more time. Execute the entire flow. Starting from here, AI agent worked. Car broke down nearwards, needing towing assistance. AI is handling because it has already pre-available solution. Call on a particular number and then simply it can solve your issue. This was done. Let's refresh. See, another email came just for the review reply. It says, we understand your vehicle is stopped. So this is something I'll say approve. It's done. The flow will execute whatever remaining steps are there. Oh, one more. Guys, one very, very important thing. Whenever your one of the module things get changed, now let's say this AI agent, this got changed, it will have impact on all the subsequent modules. See here, AI agent JSON output supposed to be like this. Done. Click rerun, and now we should get email over here. So obviously, solution has to be tested well whenever you make it live, but test it and see. This came. We understand your vehicle stopped suddenly on this. Please use mobile app. So in some cases, it may not have to create a support ticket altogether. And that's where it simply said, follow these instructions or do something and so on. Now I could have replied and say, okay, I need when I purchased, I was committed that I will get an engineer support on roadside within 1 hour. So where is that? Please get called from someone the team. Let's see if I replied this. For now, since we put in this human in loop, every time there is a reply goes, it will always get stuck at that particular point. We'll be asking for our review, and then only it will allow to go out. So yeah, another functionality wherever you want to use, you can use it. But essentially, you can have human in loop to approve or reject something or modify something.